Welcome to Game Theorem, where we have serious discussions about absurd entertainment.
Everyone has their own strengths and weaknesses. Your friends and your guild are there to make up for that, right? Warren Sigwin, the fourth Wizard Saint.
We're talking about Fairy Tale again today.
Yes, we are. So, it's been a while since our last Fairy Tale episode.
Yeah, it has.
And this one will follow up on it, so go back and listen to our earlier Fairy Tale episodes if you want to hear the chronology of it. Mm-hmm. We'll be picking up where we left off. The reason it's been so long is because we were trying to get some of our other revisit series done, like Danganronpa and Homestuck and whatnot.
Yeah.
And now that we finished those, we decided, let's go back to Fairy Tale.
Mm-hmm. Now,
we waited so long on going back to it, because in the time since, there's been a sequel.
Oh, yeah, there has been.
Yeah, there's a second manga, Fairy Tale, the 100-Year Arc or whatever.
The 100-Year Quest.
Sure. There's not much to it. It's largely unfinished. It's being written pretty slowly, and not much of it is really consequential. So we feel safe, going on anyway. And, if that changes, that could be an addendum at some point.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
But we still really like Fairy Tale. We've explained why in past episodes, but largely we think it's an interesting modern take on a magical world. And it has a lot of really, awesome characters with great backstory. Its biggest limitations are its heteronormativity and its inability to have the character arcs end satisfyingly.
Yeah.
Fairy Tale hates endings.
Uh-huh.
Which is why it was frustrating that they had a sequel.
Yep.
But we're just going to pick up where we left off. We left off last time with the Grand Magic Games, which I would argue is probably one of the best arcs, if not the best arc of the entire show.
Yes, I completely agree. That was a really good arc.
It's at least a contender.
Mm-hmm, definitely.
And so the next arc we're going to go on is an anime-exclusive one. The Eclipse Celestial Spirits arc. Now, trigger warnings, mostly just kind of probably sexual stuff and mild violence. Maybe some, heresy and world-ending stuff, but yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Our Lucy kidnap counter is currently at 8.
Yep. All right, ready to begin?
Uh-huh.
Again, if you're confused, go back and listen to the older episodes.
Lucy and Yukino granted each of their zodiac spirits a wish to reward them for closing the Eclipse Gate.
Days later, both Lucy and Yukino found that their zodiac spirits would not respond to their summons.
The Eclipse versions of the zodiac spirits appeared to attack Lucy and Yukino, but they successfully fled.
Lucy found out from her spirit Crux that the Celestial Spirit King had gone missing, and that the Zodiac Spirits planned to achieve freedom from the Celestial Wizards by performing a ritual called Labirum. So, somehow the Zodiac Spirits have corrupted. The King is missing. The regular spirits seem fine, it's just the big Zodiac 12 that have suddenly gone rogue. And they all have new forms to match. It's called Eclipse, it's like some random magical event that happened in the Celestial Spirit world.
Yep. Levy found out that they need a special globe to perform the ritual, and they headed out to find it.
Natsu, Happy, Lucy, Levy, and Yukino went to a magic library where the globe was being held.
Natsu used Horologium to travel to the Celestial Spirit world instead, hoping to find Leo and beat him up.
Natsu versus Taurus, neither won.
Virgo appeared at
Wait, what was Taurus's Eclipse version? Normally he's like a big cow man, right?
He was,
No, now he was very intelligent and had a big metal bull head.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah. The way that astrological symbols are manifested as characters in Fairy Tale is inverted. You might read a horoscope and it's the best of Tauros is this, the worst of Tauros is this. That's kind of what's going on here. So previously, Tauros was kind of a chauvinist, right?
Yeah.
Now he's an intellectual.
Yep.
Okay.
Virgo appeared at the library to find the globe.
Lucy, Happy, and Yukino versus Virgo. Now, Virgo previously was kind of like a lesbian-coded masochist. She's now a dominatrix.
Yep.
Virgo won.
Levi found the globe, but Virgo took it and left.
Natsu flung himself out of the celestial spirit world and back to the magic library.
Levi revealed a warning that was with the globe. The zodiac spirits would only live 12 days if they performed the ritual.
So they would get their freedom, but they would die. It's weird. It's almost like they're trying to say, like, it's best that you be enslaved to us.
But the contracts are consensual.
Yeah, they're not even based on currency either. They're more just like partnerships.
Yeah, they're agreements that they make when they first call them up.
Yeah.
We see Lucy making a contract in one of the earliest episodes.
Yeah, so it's a very morally simplistic, just like, they've gone mad kind of thing. Right?
Yep. Anyway, the group went to find the sacred ground, Astral Spiritus, that was the designated location for the ritual.
They ran into Princess Hisui, if you remember, who was also a celestial spirit wizard. And Arcadios, who said that the Eclipse Gate had caused the spirit's transformation and presented a set of celestial keys to close the zodiac spirit's gates. Ah, okay, so it was a side effect from that. That's why it happened.
Oh, yeah, okay.
From the Grand Magic games, when they did that whole celestial nonsense.
Pisces appeared to take the keys, which caused Natsu to attack.
Pisces. What do they appear like right now? I forgot. Oh, right. Normally Pisces had two forms. They had their fish forms, and then they had their fish people mother-daughter forms, right?
Mother-son.
Sorry, yeah, mother-son forms, right?
Yeah.
Now in this form, it's like a parody of One Piece, where like one of them's like a shark, and the other one's like a person riding the shark or something, and it's very cartoony.
Oh. I forgot about that.
I mean, it's a very forgettable arc, to be honest.
Yeah.
Natsu versus Pisces. Pisces won and took the keys.
Arcadius revealed that he expected the attack and gave the real keys to the group, because he's the only one with any goddamn sense in this entire series.
And he knew not to trust Natsu, the fire guy, against the water spirit.
Yep.
The group then went to Astral Spiritus and confronted the zodiac spirits.
Lucy told Leo how they would die in 12 days, and he revealed that they knew about that and didn't care.
Leo, by the way, normally just appears as like a suave man with a bit of a tuffled hair and like lion ears.
Now he has a bit more of a mane, and he's in like black and gold armor.
Yeah, he's more of like an anthropomorphic warrior lion now. Other fairy tale members arrived, having been led to them by Warren, the telekinetic one. And they all prepared to fight the zodiac spirits.
The zodiac spirits went into their gates and taunted the fairy tale members to go after them.
Lucy, Urza, Gray, Yukino, Kana, Juvia, Levi, Natsu, Happy, Wendy, Carla, Mira Jane, Gajiel, Panther Lily, and Elfman all split up and got a key to close a gate before following a zodiac spirit into its gate.
Elfman versus Taurus. Elfman won.
Natsu and Happy versus Leo. Neither won.
Natsu and Happy were thrown into the dimension where Wendy and Carla were.
Kana versus Scorpio. Now, normally Scorpio was like the cool guy, where he was, he was a man that had like a scorpion tail kind of thing. He dated Aquarius.
Yeah.
And he was considered cool enough to date Aquarius, who had high standards, right?
Yeah.
Well, now he's kind of a dork that plays something that's obviously a parody of Yu-Gi-Oh!
Oh.
They do like a literal like holographic card game kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
And Kana is the card wizard, so she won by beating him at the card game.
Yup. Mara Jane versus Pisces. Mara Jane won.
Wendy and Carla versus Aquarius. Okay, so Aquarius' whole thing is that she's a sexy mermaid, so her eclipse form is basically just a little girl.
Wendy won by reasoning with Aquarius.
Levy versus Capricorn. What was Capricorn's again?
Capricorn used to be like a goat man in a suit.
Yeah.
And now he's a small, short, like, quiz game show host type of guy.
Ah.
Yeah.
And again, this is Levy's forte. I'm guessing they broke up their challenges in very smart ways to defeat the Celestial Spirit Wizards by accident somehow.
Probably.
Levy won the quiz game.
Mm-hmm. Lucy versus Virgo. Neither one.
Lucy, the character that like gets stripped constantly, managed to tie with the dominatrix. I don't believe it. Virgo should have won that.
Yep.
Yukino versus Libra. Now, Libra was normally just a sort of like drifter woman with holding a set of scales, right?
Yeah. Now she was like a speedster with like gun heels and like...
Oh, right.
Yeah.
They never really go too much into Libra.
Yeah.
She is, I think, the only, except for Pisces, the only spirit of color. Mm-hmm. Gray versus Cancer. Now, Cancer is kind of like an Elvis guy in that he thinks he's cool, but not really that cool, and is basically a barber. Mm-hmm. This version of Cancer is a disco guy. Mm-hmm. I don't know the correlation between those things. But,
yeah, okay.
So, Gray and Cancer have a dance-off, and Gray manages to outdance Cancer to disco.
Yeah.
Okay, this is all like basically a silly arc, but I kind of love the silly battles, to be honest.
Yeah, I love the competitions.
Yeah, it's like something other than punching each other.
Yep. Natsu, Wendy, Happy, and Carla all went to track down Leo, but ended up opening the 13th gate and ran into Ophiuchus.
Now, this is like the second time we've ever seen Ophiuchus. Only time we saw her before was when she was a demonic black snake dragon coiling around in the sky like an eldritch entity. Mm-hmm. Now, she's a nurse.
Yep.
With a very big needle, too. Mm-hmm. The princess and Arcadios were in a hub between all the gates and went into the 13th gate when it opened.
Juvia versus Ares. Juvia won.
Now, Ares previously was basically like a sheepish, shy girl covered in wool. Mm-hmm. What is she now?
I don't remember.
Oh, right. Now she's basically a rebellious young teen, and for some reason they changed her ethnicity.
Oh, right, yeah.
Oh, you know what? No, sorry. It's an anime. I think they're meant for her to be tan now for some reason.
Oh, well, it's a Japanese cultural thing.
It's skin darkened. Whatever, let's just move on.
Urza versus Sagittarius. Urza won the 3-stage contest.
So Sagittarius before...
Can I tell? I want to say it.
I didn't know you were going to say it.
Yeah, I was. So Sagittarius before was a man in a horse suit who was very good at archery.
So his default form is actually ridiculous instead of the other way around.
Yeah. Now he is an actual centaur.
Yep. and basically made like a sort of like triathlon type of competition and challenged Urza to it. And Urza was more than happy to do that because she loves that.
Part of the competition was archery, of course. But yeah.
Gajiel and Panther Lily versus Gemini.
Gemini basically used to be like these small, like plushy little guys.
Kind of things.
Yeah.
And now they're just anthropomorphized as children.
As mischievous children, yeah.
Yeah. But their whole thing is transforming. Mm-hmm. Anyway, that one was underwhelming and lame. Gajiel won. Mm-hmm.
All the fairy tale members except Natsu, Wendy, Happy, Carla, Yukino, and Lucy appeared in the hub after closing the gates and went into the 13th gate.
Leo and Ophiuchus worked together to try to complete the Labyrum.
Natsu versus Leo, Natsu finally won.
The Labyrum continued, but the princess realized that the Celestial Spirit King was the mastermind of the whole ordeal, and if they defeated him, they'd stop the Labyrum. Turns out the Celestial Spirit King had himself gone into an eclipse form. He hadn't simply been missing. Mm-hmm.
Natsu combined the crystal dimensions of the zodiac spirits after Ophiuchus tried to attack them.
Lucy and Yukino versus Virgo and Libra. Lucy and Yukino won by casting a joint spell.
Oh, work together.
Yay!
Lucy and Yukino joined the others.
Ophiuchus revealed that the true purpose of the ritual was to give power to the eclipsed celestial spirit king, as the zodiac spirits only went to seek their freedom after he demanded great power. So the twist is the revolutionaries are they're doing a vanguard thing. Oh, they're actually just giving the power to evil king, kind of thing.
Levy revealed that the way to stop the Liberium was to destroy Ophiuchus, the celestial globe, and astral spiritus.
Natsu and Happy versus Ophiuchus. This is also, by the way, when Ophiuchus reveals her true eclipse form. Turns out she's not just a nurse in this form. She's actually a nurse centipede and becomes. So it turns out she still has some of her eldritch powers.
Yep.
And Natsu won. Underrated character, in my opinion, Ophiuchus.
The other fairy tale wizards destroyed astral spiritus.
The princess, Yukino, and Lucy worked together to cast a spell and destroy the celestial globe.
Liberium ended, but Horologium told of the wizards that the Celestial Spirit King was going to destroy the Celestial Spirit World.
Oh, by the way, the kings, so previously the king had looked like this, regal deity, right? This mustachioed man of beyond kind of thing. Now he's you ever seen Spirited Away? Remember No Face? He looks like No Face, but giant and cosmic and made of space. And no face, not even a mask.
He gave all of them celestial spirit clothing to allow them into the celestial spirit world, and they all traveled there.
So this celestial beast that used to be the king attacked the fairy tale members.
Everyone except Natsu, Happy, Lucy, Urza, Gray, and Gajil got turned into constellations by a mysterious spell the celestial beast hit them with.
Happy flew Natsu inside the beast, while Lucy, Urza, Gray, and Gajil continued attacking from the outside.
Natsu destroyed the core of the beast.
All of the celestial spirits, including the celestial spirit king, turned back to normal.
The celestial spirits gave their keys back to Yukino and Lucy.
And everything is resolved. So, again, not very consequential. Don't really learn too much about the characters. It's basically just an AU kind of story. What's an alternate personality for each of the spirits? Sometimes they're cool, sometimes they're lame. I did like that Lucy had to team up with Yukino and Hisui, the princess, because it basically meant that we got 3 different celestial spirit wizards teaming up together.
Yeah.
And they also, in so doing, developed the princess character, which got very little screen time outside of this.
Yep. She only got some screen time in the previous Grand Magic Games arc near the end.
Yeah, so they were building up on top of that. So next we're going to do the Phoenix Princess arc. And
this was a movie, wasn't it?
Yeah, this was contained within the first fairy tale movie. Team Natsu got a job to capture Geese, the leader of a bandit gang, but they failed. Team
Natsu is, of course, Natsu, Lucy.
Yeah, we don't expect.
Okay, fine. Lucy found Eclair collapsed on the ground, so she brought her to Fairy Tale. We introduce Eclair in the backstory.
Yeah, she's the immortal princess. Or no, not princess. The immortal Phoenix girl, basically.
Yep.
The Principality of Veronica was a small kingdom built outside of Fiore on the ruins of the Fire Village. Prince Cream hired the Carbuncle Guild to capture Eclair. He had 1/2 of the Phoenix Stone, and he wanted her half as well.
Carbuncle included the telekinetic wizard Diced, the shadow wizard Chase, the gun wizard Cannon, and the requip wizard Coordinator.
The Coordinator is actually really cool because this is the only time we ever see anyone with the same ability that Urza has.
Yeah.
So obviously you can see where that's going. Natsu, Lucy, Gray, Happy, Eclair, and Momon relaxed in the city of Rose Garden.
Momon is Eclair's little pet.
Yep.
Chase attacked Lucy, who was trying to get to Eclair, but she escaped.
They went to the Boundary Forest and found the ruins of her father's house. He left her a lacrima where he gave instructions on a spell to destroy the stone.
They returned to Fairy Tale, where Carbuncle destroyed the guild hall again and kidnapped Claire and her stone. This, the fifth time the guild hall has been destroyed?
I think third, actually. But Team Natsu, Gajiel, Panther Lily, and Juvia went to Veronica to rescue Eclair. They defeated all of Carbuncle except for Deist.
Prince Cream reunited the stones and tried to burn Eclair as a sacrifice. Momon freed Eclair, but then he was burned to death. And that is very sad, because Momon was a little birdie.
I know.
Yep. Was a cute little birdie.
Prince Cream summoned the Phoenix, but Deist tried to take control of it. If you remember, the Phoenix is basically this huge metal creature. The idea is that what we think of as a Phoenix was never real. The reality was far worse.
Natsu versus Deist. Natsu won.
Many Fairy Tale members arrived, including Makarov, Urza, Loxus, Freed, Big Slow, and Evergreen, to defeat the Phoenix. Makara gave Urza the sacred arrow that Eclair's father had made, capable of killing the Phoenix for good. Otherwise, it'd be immortal.
Urza fired the arrow at the Phoenix, and Natsu smashed it into the stone within the Phoenix's eye.
When the Phoenix died, its immortality wore off on Eclair, and she ceased to exist. She and Momon reunited as spirits. The Phoenix cried a few tears, but these tears were useful to no one anymore. Oh, see, only when the Phoenix was immortal was the Phoenix's tears able to grant immortality. And now that they killed it in the Deus Ex Machina way, of the way to permakill it, it's no longer immortal. And so Momon and Eclair ceased to be immortal. Right? And if you remember from last episode, heaven is real, so we know they're good now.
Yep. Fairy Tale rebuilt their guild hall again.
Yep. All right, Sun Village arc. Silver, if you remember, that's Gray's undead father.
Yep.
Silver froze Sun Village, believing it to be inhabited by a demon.
Makarov gave Team Natsu a job request from one of the 10 wizard saints, Warod.
If you remember Warod, he was in the prequel, where he was a former Fairy Tale member. Now he's a really old guy, tree man, and he's one of the top dogs.
Yeah, he's the 4th wizard saint.
Yeah, so 4th strongest wizard in the region. Team Natsu went to see Warod, and he explained that the Sun Village was encased in a strange ice, and he wanted Team Natsu to save the village. You forgot to mention when you wrote this that when they went to see him, they were all naked because they were taking a bath.
Oh, yeah.
Not that it's relevant.
Nope.
It happened anyway.
They went to the village and were confronted by 3 men of a treasure hunter guild, Sylph Labyrinth, who were after the village's eternal flame.
Natsu, Gray, Lucy, and Wendy versus Sylph Labyrinth. Natsu, Gray, Lucy, and Wendy won.
Urza found the likely direction of the eternal flame, but was turned into a child and confronted by Minerva, who was now a member of the Dark Guild Succubusi.
Yeah, because she was kicked out of her guild for being a torturous, evil, inhumane monster. Remember? Because what was his name? Sting. Sting reformed Sabretooth, but Minerva refused to reform. Natsu ran off to find the source of some voices he heard, and was also turned into a child. It's just like a magic ability Minerva has, I guess? Or...
No, it wasn't Minerva.
Oh, it was someone else from the guild.
Yeah. Lucy and Wendy went to find Natsu, but were stopped by Sylph Labyrinth, who now want to steal Lucy's celestial spirit keys.
I don't think they ever even named who these other members of the guild were. I think that's why we don't have their names here. Flare appeared to help Lucy and Wendy.
Lucy, Wendy, and Flare versus Sylph Labyrinth. Flare won.
Flare revealed that Sun Village was her home, and she returned since Raventail had disbanded.
Gray encountered Doriante, who was the one with age regression magic, and Gray was turned into a child.
Okay, well, we should have mentioned his name earlier.
Yeah.
Gray versus Doriante, Gray won.
It was supposed to be this thing if you have no idea how they're getting turned into children until they reveal, until Gray finds them.
Whatever.
But yeah, Gray won the fight. And then Natsu led Flare, Wendy, and Lucy to the Eternal Flame. Then Gray, Happy, and Carla found them there.
Gray tried to unfreeze the eternal flame and succeeded, but nearly destroyed it.
Natsu used his fire magic on the eternal flame, and it went back to its original size.
Teamwork. The flame revealed itself as the spirit of the dragon Atlas Flame, who recognized Natsu as the son of Igniel. Now, if you remembered why that's important, we met Atlas Flame when a few dragons escaped to the future in the Grand Magic Games, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they went back, they returned, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Atlas Flame should have been dead for millennia. Here is where Atlas Flame lies, the soul of Atlas Flame.
Yep. Atlas Flame explained that an ice devil slayer froze the village, believing Atlas to be a demon.
Atlas also told Natsu that Igniel failed to defeat the most evil demon from the books of Zareth, END. So that's where that plot point is first introduced to us.
Mm-hmm.
What is END?
Sun Village thawed and returned to normal.
Urza versus Minerva. This was the best fight of the arc. Urza was super confident and awesome. Minerva was going off the deep end. Obviously Urza won. You know.
Mm-hmm. Silver, a member of Tartaros, was summoned back to his guild by a messenger.
Flare reunited with the native giants of Sun Village.
Who raised her.
Also, giants are a thing.
Yep.
I think I'd like to think they're just a race of big people, I guess.
Yep. Team Natsu returned to Warad and were told that
Well, subspecies, technically.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Team Natsu returned to Warad and were told that Tartaros was a dark guild and might have the books of Zareth.
Little do they know.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so this next one we call it the Christmas arc. Basically, we've talked about, we did the Rave arc where they had to cross over with another series. We've talked about some of the special original animations that weren't very plot relevant, but still had at least some amount of plot to them.
Mm-hmm.
This one is a Christmas themed one.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the most adult one they ever had. Because it really just feels like as soon as the characters got even older than they had started at the beginning of the show, right? Mm-hmm. As soon as they were definitely, without a doubt, all over 18, except for I guess Wendy, they decide, okay, we can just have them be naked now. No longer have Gray disrobe into oversized boxers. He's actually naked, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's definitely taking a turn for undressing the characters way more often. The members of Fairy Tail helped Magnolia prepare for Christmas and cracked a church bell in the process because they can't do anything without having some destruction.
Lucy, Levy, Carla, Wendy, Juvia, Gajiel, Natsu, and Gray all celebrated Christmas Eve at Lucy's apartment.
The women all got drunk and they played a game together where they picked random sticks, and the one who got the crown was the guildmaster that can make the others do one order of their choice.
Urza won a lot and made everyone do really embarrassing things. Such things involved getting people to kiss, getting people into various states of undress. Mm-hmm. This is also where we're showed that Carla has an ability to turn into a humanoid form and not just her cat form. Mm-hmm. Right? But eventually, Gajiel won and tried to get revenge on Urza by ordering her to walk home naked.
Mm-hmm.
Urza, however, never to resist a challenge, and also drunk, strips and heads out into the freezing cold. But because she's Urza, she's able to take it.
Yep.
However, her beloved Jalal just so happens to run into her and is freaks out and blushes and then covers her with his coat to make sure she gets home safe.
Yep. He took her home while she complained about how jealous she was of some of the others flirting and being romantic with each other.
While he's literally... She was drunk.
Yeah. Also, Wendy's underage, but they have her get drunk with the rest of the girls?
Yeah, that's not good. That's not right. She shouldn't have been there, honestly.
Yeah.
It was nice seeing, Urza and Jalal being shipped. It was nice seeing Levy and Gajiel being shipped. They had some good moments in there.
Mm-hmm.
Tartaros arc. All right, now we're back into the serious stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The Dark Guild Tartaros, secretly composed of demons from the Books of Zareth, had many smaller dark guilds working for it, including Succubus Eye.
The members of Tartaros included their master Tartaros, the bladed Azel, the absorbing Frammelth, the explosive Jackal, the necromancer Keys, the enhancing Kyoka, the telekinetic Scylla, the disastrous Tempester, the toxic Torfuzar, and the ice demon slayer Silver Fullbuster, who wasn't an actual Aetherius but a reanimated corpse.
Yeah, Keys, the necromancer, reanimated Silver. Tartaros also operated a laboratory in their base that allowed their Aetherius members, remember Aetherius is the technical term for demon, basically? That allowed their Aetherius members to resurrect each time they died. They also mass-produced Aetherius demons called Lami to operate the laboratory and for other tasks.
She's a bunny girl.
Yes.
Get it? She's a bunny girl who's cloned to run a lab.
Yes, yeah. It's like having the experiments run the place.
Yep. Tartaros captured Giamma and experimented upon him to turn him into a demon.
Giamma was the deceased leader of Sabretooth, if you remember.
Yeah. He wasn't cooperative, but he informed them of his powerful daughter, Minerva. So they destroyed Succubus Eye and forcefully recruited Minerva. They did the same to her, trying to turn her into a demon.
So now, yeah, Minerva's really going off the deep end. Tartaros began wiping out all of the lesser dark guilds that were loyal to them, and they decided to acquire a mythical weapon called Face, that the Magic Council possessed. It was capable of nullifying magic, but not curses, which was the demon equivalent.
The magic...
So you see what they're doing? Like, they have all these little guilds working for them, and they've decided, like, okay, you've served your purpose. We're cutting you loose. And we're taking what we can get, like Minerva.
Yep. The Magic Council held a meeting to discuss Tartaros, but Jackal arrived and detonated the facility, killing most of the Magic Council. Lahar and over 100 people. Dorenbolt managed to escape with the teleportation spell.
They killed Lahar. He was a major character.
Yeah, he was the Magic Council liaison.
Yeah, the guy that we always knew about. He was the face of the Magic Council.
Yeah, Dorenbolt was like the messenger, but he wasn't necessarily with
Dorenbolt had a weird relationship with them. Actually, if you remember, technically Dorenbolt was a double agent.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
But Lahar was Magic Council through and through. So when the Tartaros arc starts, you think it's just going to be, okay, next fairy tale arc. But then they kill off a major character.
Yes.
So as much as fairy tale might have problems with not having endings, this arc goes a good ways to making you think they're going to go somewhere.
Yeah, this is a pretty decent arc.
I would say this one probably rivals the Grand Magic games. Because even with, the fairy tale being fairy tale, killing a character like that's going to have an effect.
Well, what do you think about the Key of the Starry Skies arc? Where does that rank?
Lower.
Okay. Tempester destroyed a diner with freed Bixlow Evergreen and former counselor Yajima in it.
Loxus versus Tempester. Loxus won, but Tempester left behind a noxious gas that killed 100 people. The Tempester was then resurrected back at their base, because demons can just be resurrected anytime they die.
Fairy Tale came to the conclusion that Tartarus was hunting former Magic Council members, so they volunteered to guard and protect any former members.
Natsu, Lucy, Wendy, Happy, and Carla guarded former counselor Michello. Michelo?
I don't know how to pronounce it.
Michello.
Natsu versus Jackal. Natsu won, but Jackal resurrected back at the base.
So this is an interesting thing where they're having these really hard fights, and they are winning, but it's taking a lot out of them, and they're not making any progress. Gajiel and Droy went to guard former counselor Belno, but she was killed before they got there.
Elfman and Lizana went to guard former counselor Yuri, but Sayla killed him before they got there. Scylla killed him before they got there.
Scylla made Elfman strangle Lizana with her curse magic. And Elfman desperately pleaded for her to stop making him do that. She made a deal with him. She kidnapped Lizana, but left a lacrima for Elfman to activate at a later time.
Mm-hmm.
So she's taking advantage of their, sibling love.
Mm-hmm. Mikhailo told Makarov about Face and how 3 counselors were linked to its seal.
Urza and Mira Jane guarded former chairman Crawford Seam.
Dorenbolt made a deal with the imprisoned Cobra. Cobra gave him knowledge of Tartaros in exchange for freedom of the original Orasian Sace, including Brain. Therefore, Macbeth returned to the identity of Midnight.
You get the feeling that the Key of the Starry Skies, the Key of the Starry Skies arc wasn't anticipating that Fairy Tail was actually going to bring back the Orasian Sace into the picture. So they have to quickly go like, oh yeah, remember Brain too? No, he's Midnight again.
Mm-hmm.
Brain tried to reinstate his leadership over the Orasian Sace, and they violently struck him down immediately.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, no, we're not going through that again.
Yep.
You immediately threw us under the bus. No.
Mm-hmm. Dorenbolt contacted Jalal and Meredy and asked them to watch over the Orasian Sace.
Crawford revealed he had defected to Tartaros when he drugged Urza and Mira Jane, and he called Kyoka to his aid. So the former chairman of the Magic Council is now working with the Demon Guild.
Yep.
That's not good.
Jalal versus Racer, Cobra, and Angel. Jalal won.
So Jalal's like making sure the Orasian Sace don't go back to doing crimes.
Yeah.
He wants them to try to join his independent reform guild kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Natsu attacked Tartaros' base, but he was frozen by Silver and then imprisoned with Lizana. Urza was also captured by Kyoka, who also tortured her. All of the prisoners were stripped naked.
Mm-hmm.
That was weird.
Yeah.
But, I mean, we're at like a low point for the story. Everyone's losing. The demons seem like impossible to beat. Mm-hmm. Kyoka is like the bad kind of sadist.
Mm-hmm. Midnight used an illusion that made Jalal think Brain reactivated as Zero, but in actuality, Jalal defeated the entire Orasian Sace.
Jalal tried to convince the Orasian Sace to join Crime Sorcière, but Rusty Rose approached them and tried to convince them to join him instead. They assisted Jalal, not Rusty Rose.
Okay. I forget who Rusty Rose was.
He was in the Tenro Island arc. He's basically this other forgotten villain that's like, no, join me and we'll be bad again.
Oh, okay. Face required an organic link between 3 former counselors to be severed, so Crawford used his super archive magic to transfer the link from Jalal to himself.
Yeah, because remember, Jalal had been a Magic Council member at one point.
Mm-hmm.
Kyoka suddenly killed Crawford right after he transferred the link to himself, terminating the last link and thus unsealing Face. Mm-hmm. No honor among thieves, that kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Crawford's like, I'm gonna work with the demons. Surely they'll never betray me. And they literally kill him off immediately.
Yep. Tartaros' base turned into a giant cube that floated towards Face.
Lamy managed to convert the captured Minerva into a demon, and turn her into one of them as Neo Minerva. She began to do the same to Mira Jane. Now, Mira Jane normally had, like, demon soul. She would turn into demons, but it was always for, like, a limited time.
Mm-hmm.
This would be a permanent corruption.
Yep. Elfman was forced to place the lacrima in the basement of Fairy Tale, and it exploded, destroying the whole building.
For the 4th time.
Yep.
But also, Elfman, like, I get you love your sister, but that is not okay.
Yeah.
Like, Elfman goes to some dark places in this arc.
Mm-hmm.
Kana saved the entire guild by trapping the members with her card magic. Then the Exceeds flew to the cube and unleashed Fairy Tale upon Tartaros. So this is when things start going better, right? Mm-hmm. We were at, like, the darkest moment, and, you know, Kana saved the day, basically. Mm-hmm. Like she does. Kana's honestly a really underrated character. Yeah. I know half the time they like to joke about her drinking, but honestly, the alcoholic is there when you need her.
Also, Kiana's Kanna's dad is Gildart, so
Yeah,
it
yeah.
makes sense that she would be that capable.
Sure.
Natsu, Lozana, and Urza escaped and imprisoned Kyoka.
Urza versus Kyoka. Urza temporarily defeated her.
Zareth appeared before Natsu and cryptically told him about END.
He just shows up and like, hey, just so you know, foreshadowing. Easel activated Face, and it now had 41 minutes until detonation. So once it goes, all magic will be nullified within like the entire kingdom, right? But that won't apply to demons.
Yep.
So that means they'll have free reign to just level the place.
Yep. Gray, Lucy, and Wendy attempted to escape and not bother to fight Keys and Franmouth because of the time limit.
Franmouth absorbed the souls of Ares and Tauros when Lucy tried to summon them to add to his collection of souls.
Franmouth revealed to Natsu that he still had Hades' soul.
Oh yeah, that was a callback.
Yep.
Mira Jane used her demon soul magic to break free of the demon experiment and fought Scylla.
Is Scylla the one in, like, the tiny kimono with the big boobs?
Yes.
Okay. Wendy versus Ezel. Wendy won and destroyed Face.
Oh, that was such a huge moment for Wendy, because she's going against like this big four-armed, like really jacked guy, right? And she's just a girl. Now she is older by this point, but she's still like a teenager, right?
Yeah.
And there's so many times where it looks like she's going to be straight up murdered. And she somehow overcomes that, defeats him, and then just tries to destroy the actual face itself to stop the detonation, right? However, the countdown didn't stop even when the monolith of face itself was destroyed.
And in the meantime, Gray versus Keys. Stalemated.
Mira Jane versus Scylla, stalemated.
Lozana versus Lamy. Stalemated.
Carla used her premonition foretelling ability to tell Wendy that she should convert the ether nano into something else, which should stop Face's countdown by self-destructing it.
Wendy and Carla did so, sacrificing themselves. Except Doran Bolt suddenly uses teleportation to save them from the explosion.
Whatever, teamwork. But for a minute, you really think they're going to kill themselves, but Fairy Tale being Fairy Tale.
Yep.
Natsu and Lucy versus Franmouth. Oh, actually, wait, before I get to that, I just want to say, Fairy Tale being Fairy Tale, but the stakes had been risen so high that for a minute I thought they might do it.
Yeah.
You know?
At this point, for a minute, you really think that they might kill Wendy and Carla in the explosion.
So Natsu and Lucy versus Franmouth, Natsu won.
Hades' soul bid farewell to Natsu, Lucy, and Happy, warning them that Makarov should release the Lumen Histoire.
Histoire. So Hades has like a kind of almost, not really redemption, but like a kind farewell at the end. And he's a pretty monstrous character, and it really kind of reminds you about who he used to be as Prot.
Yeah.
And in his farewell, he says, by the way, Makarov has a dark thing in the basement. You should probably look into that.
Yep.
And they're like, wait, what?
Yep. Ezel and Franmouth were about to be resurrected when Mira Jane destroyed the laboratory.
Yes, no more infinite lives.
Yep.
Mira Jane attempted to take over Scylla, because she can do takeover magic with demons, right? And so she tried to take Scylla's body as one of her assortment of demons. And she used her power to command Elfman to save his family.
And so, Mira Jane, Lozana, and Elfman versus Scylla. The Strauss siblings won.
Also, Scylla's, ultimate form is topless. Just completely topless.
Oh, yeah.
I wouldn't mind the use of sexiness so much if it was more, equal. Elfman doesn't get to show off his pecs nearly as much as Scylla does.
Yep.
Fairy Tail coordinated their efforts with Warren's telepathy magic. So now they're getting on the ball, getting some teamwork done.
Mard Gear Tartaros hijacked Warren's magic and bade farewell to them as he cast Allegria, which used a fluid that froze all of Fairy Tail in their tracks. Only Lucy managed to evade it.
And then immediately everything's in the toilet again. Lucy is the only member of Fairy Tale still standing because the leader of Tartaros, the guy named Tartaros, who named the guild after himself, is the most powerful one there, and he only just now enters the fight. The cube transformed into an Aetherius itself called Plutogrim, which then attacked the city of Magnolia.
Yep. Lucy, Virgo, Leo, and Aquarius versus Taurophizar and Jackal. Taurophizar and Jackal won and killed Lamy.
Because they didn't have the laboratory anymore, so Lamy was useless to them. Again, no honor among thieves. Aquarius told Lucy that she could summon the Celestial Spirit King by destroying a Zodiac key. So you could summon the King of all spirits, but it comes at a great cost.
Lucy refused, but Aquarius insisted. So she destroyed Aquarius's key, returning Aquarius to the spirit world for the last time, temporarily bestowing Aquarius's water magic on herself, and summoned the Celestial Spirit King.
That was really sad, because Aquarius was the first celestial spirit she ever got from her deceased mother.
Yeah, it's the key her mother gave her.
Yeah. The Celestial Spirit King versus Plutogrim. The Celestial Spirit King won. Turns out he's quite the swordsman. He's like the Celestial Shogun.
Yep. Lucy versus Jackal. Lucy won.
Celestial Spirit King versus Mardgeir Tartaros. The Celestial Spirit King won by absorbing Lucy's magic. He froze Tartaros in stone and unfroze Fairy Tale before returning to the Celestial Spirit world. So I actually really love this because Lucy is shown to be so incompetent so much of the time. And, we have the Lucy kidnap counter, right? Notice it hasn't gone up at all. It's still at 8. Because here she is saving everyone else's butt. And of course, she uses her spirits to do that. I never cared for her type of magic to begin with. But they made real stakes to it. She sacrificed her most beloved spirit and saved everyone.
Yeah, that was so sad.
By pulling some strings and getting the king to help.
Yeah. All right, Franmouth managed to survive as a small mushroom, and he followed Happy.
Urza versus Minerva. Their fight was interrupted when Mardgeir Tartaros broke free from the stone and attacked both of them.
Sting and Rogue tracked down Minerva and appeared before Fairy Tale.
So we're getting all the Dragon Slayers in the fight. Fairy Tale learned that there were still thousands of other faces across Fiore, all now set to go off in an hour. So due to some manipulative storytelling, you're led to believe that it was just that one monolith that constituted the super weapon of Face. But no, they're all over the continent. There are tons of them.
Yep.
Thousands of them.
Yeah.
I feel like they're supposed to kind of be a stand-in for ICBMs.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
Keyes reanimated Crawford and instructed him to activate the faces.
Yeah, so remember the chairman that they double-crossed and killed? Oh, hey, actually, we needed you for a bit longer, so reanimate, keep working for us.
Yeah, and they thought they only needed that one, but they turned out to need more than one face, so they had him activate the others.
Right. Sting and Rogue versus Mardgeir Tartaros. Tartaros won.
Silver lied to Grey and told him that he was actually Deliora possessing his father.
Which actually was cool until that turned out to be a lie. Grey versus Silver. Grey won, and they had a sorrowful goodbye.
Silver bestowed his Ice Demon Slayer magic onto Grey.
Juvia versus Keyes. Juvia won, lifting his power from Silver, killing him. So this is meant to be like, oh no, Juvia killed her beloved's daddy.
Natsu and Gajiel versus Taurophizar and Tempester. Stalemated.
Taurophizar flooded the area with toxic black water.
Levy dove into the water and kissed Gajiel, giving him all of her air. He asked for more air. She couldn't kiss him more, but then realized she could use her solid script magic to provide air. She then provided air for the others.
Oh yeah, this was a really cute moment because like they finally deliver on that ship a little bit, you know?
Yeah, they finally actually kiss.
Yes. And it's meant to be like, he needs air. I'll go in there, sacrifice myself, and give him a lung full of air. And Gajiel's like, yeah, but you have magic.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh yeah.
Yep.
Gajiel versus Torafuzar. Gajiel won and the water went away.
Gray versus Tempester. Gray won.
With keys gone, Crawford's corpse would have died again, but Scylla continued animating it like a puppet, preparing the faces to activate. So he's not like conscious anymore, she's just like puppeting him.
Kyoko killed Scylla to take her power for herself, and the faces activated.
Urza versus Kyoka, stalemated.
Agnaloki.
Oh, for the record, Scylla was kind of sympathetic towards the good guys. Obviously, she was still a bad guy, but she was kind of sympathetic to them. That's kind of why Kyoka didn't mind just offing her.
Yep. Acnologia arrived to partake in the battle and destroyed the area.
Last time Acnologia showed up, like everyone like ran for their lives, so this is not a good sign.
Yep.
Igneal decided that this was the time to strike and exited Natsu's soul.
Igneal made a request of the Fairy Tale Guild, Natsu specifically. He asked that Natsu take the Book of E&D, and in exchange, Igneal would tell Natsu everything.
Igneal versus Acnologia, stalemated.
Natsu versus Margir Tartaros, stalemated.
With Crawford, Keyes, and Scylla all defeated, Margir Tartaros instructed Kyoka to link herself to the faces to activate it, even though it would kill her. She complied. Tartaros was the one person she was loyal to.
Elfman, Lizana, Jet, Troy, and Warren versus lots of Lamy. The good guys won.
Yeah, it turns out there were multiple of her. They could produce many at the same time. Levi and Juvia delivered samples of Tempester's blood to Porliusica to cure the still injured Thunder Legion.
Makarov unearthed the Lumen Historia from beneath where the guild hall used to be. He asked everyone to hide in the basement where it used to be.
Natsu, Sting, Rogue, and Gray versus Mardgear Tartaros. Neither won, but Tartaros summoned Giemma on his side.
Who was Giemma again?
Minerva's father.
Oh, right, yeah.
Who's like a reanimated demon.
Yep. Sting and Rogue versus Giemma. Sting and Rogue won.
So they had to kill their old master. He's one of the few, like, he's just such an abuser that, like, the show does not care about literally killing the same character twice. Natsu and Gray versus Mardgear Tartaros. Natsu finally won.
Urza and Minerva versus Kyoka. Urza and Minerva won, but not before the countdown reached 0.
Grandini, Metallicana, Weisslogia, and Skyadrum all emerged from the Dragon Slayers and began destroying the faces across Fiore before they could all detonate. So, you know, kind of Deus Ex Machina. We knew we didn't know at the time. They had to explain this later. But we've explained in the backstory episode that they were hiding in their souls the whole time.
Yep.
And so they come out to save the day by just systematically destroying the ICBMs before they can explode.
Natsu and Gray fought over whether to give the Book of E&D to Igneal or destroy it. But then Zareth snatched it away from them because Natsu is a fucking idiot.
Zareth praised Mardgear Tartaros for his efforts, but lamented that he simply wouldn't ever be strong enough to kill Zareth. So he grabbed the Book of Tartaros and burned it, killing him. So the way the books of Zareth work, the demons are like based off of books, right?
Yeah.
So Zareth, being the creator of them, he has the Book of Tartaros, the book that he wrote that made the demon, right? He burns the book and Tartaros dies permanently.
Yep.
And he does it just because he's not strong enough. Like,
Yep.
Zareth is cold-hearted.
Yep. Igneal versus Acnologia. Acnologia won and killed Igneal.
There goes Daddy Dragon. Igneal gave Natsu a parting gift in the form of a powerful spell that could only be used completely once.
Yep. The extended time within the Dragon Slayers had sapped their souls so much that the dragons only had a short time with which to live. Grandini, Metallicana, Wislogia, and Skydrum said goodbye to their Dragon Slayers as they faded away.
So they've been waiting to see their parents for so long, and they come out to help them win this fight and then die.
Mm-hmm.
Zareth and Acnologia made their escape. There is now one dragon left.
Because if you've forgotten, all these dragons raised them as well, so... The Battle of Tartaros ended before Makarov could activate the Lumen Histoire.
Histoire. Juvia told Gray that she killed his father, Silver, when she killed Keys. She thought he would hate her, but he thanked her instead.
Sting and Roe convinced Minerva to reform and rejoin Sabretooth.
And she finally takes it.
Mm-hmm.
At Makarov's request, Doranbolt wiped the Lumen Histoire from anyone's memories. Like Hades' parting words, like, hey, you should look at that thing in the basement. And Makarov's like, oh my goodness, the nukes are about to go off. I gotta launch my super nuke, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it turns out, oh, I didn't need to fire that. Doranbolt, can you just pretend none of this ever happened?
Yeah, and Doranbolt has the memory altering magic, so yeah.
I hated that, to be honest.
Yeah. Makarov revealed to Doranbolt that his identities were backwards, that he had actually been Mesgrider, a member of Fairy Tail, from the beginning, and had wiped his memory to infiltrate the Magic Council.
Yep, double agent. Mm-hmm. He was an agent of Fairy Tail in the Magic Council as an agent of the Magic Council in Fairy Tail.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, Makarov disbanded Fairy Tail.
Mm-hmm.
So Fairy Tail no longer exists. But the show goes on for a few more arcs.
Yep. I guess we'll stop there for this episode.
So you can see how that genuinely felt like there'd be lasting consequences, right?
Yeah, it really did. Like, Wendy cut her hair at the whole fight with the faces.
Oh yeah, her personality hardened.
Mm.
Urza had been tortured and traumatized.
Mm.
Lucy had actually been useful for once. Natsu
finally found out where his dad went.
And then sees him die before his eyes.
Yep. Acnologia and Zareth still are alive.
Acnologia is the only living dragon left.
Yeah, and they ran off with the Book of V&D.
And what even is that?
Yep.
And Levi and Gajiel kissed.
Yep.
And we're gonna, see over the next arc these things slowly be undone, at least in the large part.
Yep.
Some questions will be answered, and some questions will be unasked.
Yep.
But honestly, it was a really good arc.
Yeah, it was really good.
And
Would you put this above the Grand Magic Games or below
it's hard to say. I'd say they're kind of neck and neck, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree. Key of the Starry Skies arc is below them, but
I don't know why you like that one so much.
I really liked the characters, like the whole thing with Michelle Lobster and the
Imitatia?
Yeah, Imitatia. I liked Imitatia.
All right, whatever. It was good, but I like this one. I think the demons were a really cool twist.
Oh,
like
yeah,
they don't operate on magic; they operate on curses.
Yeah, that was really
They can
cool.
be reborn. It was a good way of power creep. Like they could face something unlike anything they've faced before.
Yes, and it made sense as to why they had been in hiding for so long.
And again, I don't really mind the sexy nature of some of them because you kind of get like a succubi type of feeling with them.
Mm-hmm.
I wish that it was more, gender equal, but
yeah. But yeah. So that was a really good arc.
All right.
And we will be continuing next time from after this.
All right, bye.
Bye.